So as a senior developer, this is something you should know in an application. So it is to implement CSRF protection in a full stack app. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to understand what CSRF protection is and how we would use it in the app to keep our website secure. So essentially this blog says how to implement CSRF protection in a full stack React and Express app. So we will have a front end and back end. If you like reading, then read this blog as well. But essentially what it is we'll build a project that demonstrates how to implement cross-site request forgery, which is CSRF protection in a React application backed by a Node Express server. So we'll be doing Node and React in this tutorial. CSRF is a type of attack where malicious sites trick a user's browser into performing unwanted actions on a different site where the user is authenticated. So essentially, we want this CSRF protection to stop this from happening. So you learn how to set up secure communication between the front end and the back end. So essentially what it does is it sets up a secure communication between your Express server and your React application. So that's what it does. Express backend using CRS tokens. And by the end of this tutorial, you'll have a working app with built-in protection against CSRF attacks. So if you have a full stack app, what normally happens is this is already implemented, or you would have to implement this. A popular framework that I use is Next.js, and in there, in the Node modules, what they have is this protection enabled already, and I'll show you that later on in this video. What is CSRF and why does it matter? So again, it's a security vulnerability that occurs when malicious websites make a request to a different site on behalf of an authenticated user. So without proper validation, this request can carry out sensitive actions such as, and you can see here, transferring funds, records deletion, and also changing account details. So what we need to do is we need to protect this on our site, and that's where we do it on our Express server, pass it down to our client. So this is an example of how it works and then how the CSRF token works. So how does the attack work? So if I was someone hacking a site, for example, that had data that I needed, then what you would do is you log into the website, the user visits a malicious site, so evilsite.com, while still being authenticated on example.com. So think about that again. I've logged into, say, for example, imrancodes.com, and then I log into x.com or something like that, but I'm already logged into imrancodes.com in my browser. Then the malicious site sends a forged request to example.com, which in my case will be imrancodes.com, that appears to be from the user. So if my site doesn't have the protection, it will process the request as if it came from me who's logged in as a legitimate user. That's how the attack works. And then what CSRF does is it generates a unique secret token or a value. So this is where we hash and do our hashing of our CSRF token, or we would use an external npm package. So the token creates a unique, secret, and unpredictable value generated by the server. So it's always coming from the back end to the front end. That is the process from top to bottom. And then it's then associated with the user session. So example would be if you were fetch request to API, you would pass in that token as well as part of your Axios request, for example. So we'll look at that later as well. But this token is then validated on the server side. And if the token is missing or incorrect, then the request is rejected. So that's how it works. It's quite confusing to understand at the start. So we'll look at examples. So we'll look at how to implement our own custom CSRF middleware. We will also look at external packages that we can use in the npm library. And then we will also look at Next.js, where they already have this included in their Node modules. So we'll look at all of that. So what we want to do is we want to get started. So in this project, we communicate with the Express backend and the front end. So again, here you can see we will generate a CSRF token for each session. We pass this down to the React app, and then we use this token to validate post requests to ensure that they are legitimate. So again, any type of request really. And then this is the structure. So what we'll do next is get started with the build.